Hello, traders. Excuse me. This is Blake Morrow, and you are listening to the Daily Roundup webinar. Hope everybody's having a great trading session. I'll tell you, it has been nonstop dollar weakness, pretty much. Let's take a look at the dollar here and see where we're at. Now, I want to talk about it because I think this is kind of important. So, the dollar index, as we are approaching the 161% extension of, this is the, actually it's the big post-COVID move. I tweeted it. So you guys, if you follow me on Twitter, which I'm assuming most of you do, you probably saw this. This is oh shoot, grabbed the wrong thing, which is okay. All right, so you see this COVID spike. That's the lockdown spike. 161% extension comes in right here at 89.50. We may reach it. It's possible. I think with maybe a little bit more help from the cable, we could get there, or maybe with one of the commodity currencies. But the commodity currencies are stalling a little bit, and I'm going to talk about all these dollar pairs here for the most part. So first of all, the euro just reached that 161% extension of that, the consolidation of this summer, basically, until November, until we broke out. And by the way, if you guys, I want to make sure that with ForexAnalytix, you have your notifications up and running, because there was an alert that went out on, I believe, on the live stream. Yeah, it says euro dollar reaches the 161% extension at 22.65. So it's showed that we were there. Actually, Dimmy from the chat room brought it to my attention. I'm like, oh yes, we are there. So I sent that up as a result. Now, if you take the COVID drop of the euro dollar, okay, we're well beyond it. Now you might say, well, why are we well beyond it there, but not in the dollar index? That's because the euro has really outpaced many currencies on this move higher. Remember, a lot of the euro move is it's not a dollar move necessarily. It is partially a dollar move, obviously, because you can see it in the dollar index. But a lot of this euro move has been straight up a euro move. And if you remember our conversations from the last couple of months, the importance of the euro rally is more to do with this fiscal union that the European Union has formed with the COVID relief. Remember that? Okay, so that has provoked the euro outperformance against many currencies. So if you're wondering why the euro has exceeded that 161% extension, but in the dollar index we haven't, and the euro makes up such a big part of the dollar index, that's the reason why. But there are other dollar pairs at pretty key resistance levels. Now, first, I want to say that the cable is breaking out. We are above this multi-year trend line. We are above 135. This is a breakout right now, okay? And I'm going to come back to that here in a second. The Aussie is at the 38% retracement, long-term retracement, and we're stalling here. This is at 76.30. Now, if you ask me, do I think that we're going to break that? Yes, I do. Will it be today? I don't know. The way things are going with the dollar, it's possible. I don't see any fear in any dollar shorts right now. So we're stalling. Yes. Can the Aussie break higher? It sure can. So don't think it can't. I am going to tell you what I'm doing with the Aussie here in just a second, but we are at resistance. Kiwi, we are at the 50% long-term retracement as well. And the Kiwi, we exceeded the 7160, okay? but I sold some overnight, and it's coming down a little bit. It hit the 161% extension, but the 50% retracement 71.47, and we're basically 2 pips higher than that now. So that's happened. You'll also notice that the dollar Canadian continues to hold this 161% extension as well. As the Aussie and the Kiwi hit new highs, the dollar Canadian did not hit new trend lows. Actually, we matched the lows, but still, it's outperforming slightly. Dollar Mexican peso didn't hit new trend lows. So you can see how the dollar is starting to find some support. Dollar yen, a big equation from the dollar index. It's holding above 103, barely. So you can see why the dollar might stall at current levels. All right. Because the dollar is against, pretty big resistance against everything else. So I mentioned, how am I playing the Aussie? Well, I don't want to short the Aussie outright. I mean, I can, but I'm that's not my play. I mean, if you want to short the Aussie, fine. You just know where your risk is, and just remember the dollar's super, super weak. So if you get stopped out, you know why. It's a dollar play. But the Aussie is at resistance, okay? The pound is breaking out. So what do you think I want to play? The pound Aussie, right? Gavin said long the crosses. Yeah, I want to be long the pound Aussie. If the pound dollar is breaking out and the Aussie is at resistance, then that means the pound Aussie is the play. Now, for me anyway, look, there could be Brexit news that comes out like in a moment, like literally in 5 minutes. Brexit's off, no deal, and the pound Aussie would fall through the floor, right? So I'm just trying to assume that there's no Brexit news at this point, or we're working our way towards a deal, so it's going to do all right. But you can see we had a false breakdown. We've rallied. There is a gap there, but we've rallied. And frankly, if we, have this false breakdown and we make it above like 180, 181, we should rally back towards the mid 180s. That would be on a Brexit deal, my assumption. That's what that would be. But you can see the bull flags trying to play out. Pound Aussie, very similar situation. We hit 161% extension, was a breakdown, and then now we are trying to reverse. And if the pound New Zealand gets above 192, 193, I mean, this thing's going to take off, right? 191, I think, is resistance. That's, let me just show you this really quick. Here's the daily chart. Okay. Big trend line, broken trend line, false breakdown, break back above 191, it'd be bullish. Okay. And again, with the Aussie at resistance and Kiwi at resistance, those pound crosses look ripe. And all you need is, you need a Brexit deal. That's it. All right. How hard is it to get a Brexit deal, for crying out loud? I know everybody just laughed because we've been waiting on a Brexit deal for 4 years. So, but obviously, well, I want to say that the market thinks we're close because, the cable is above 135.50. So, we've got to be, somebody's got to know something about something, right? Somebody knows something about something. So anyway, that's how I'm playing the pound and the Aussies. I'm playing it through the crosses. And you just can't play it too aggressive until there's definitive news. I mean, I'm just kind of eking my way in, but still, if we get a Brexit deal, it's as we've talked about, it's a binary event. I mean, pound Aussie will probably be trading when a deal's announced, or if a deal is announced, I should say. Pound Aussie will probably be trading 200-300 pips higher, and then he'll probably run another 200-300 pips, something like that, and then it'll maybe fail. But that's kind of how I'm approaching it. A couple other things. Let's go to the S&P. So let's just talk about that really quick. The S&P basically hit this, ascending wedge high. Also, the 127% extension of the COVID move. We hit that resistance today within $3, 3 points. Okay. That doesn't mean that's it. You should short the S&P here. That doesn't mean that at all. But that means that we are up against resistance. So just be aware of it. Lastly, gold and silver continue to look strong. I'm going to say that it's going to be really, really difficult for the dollar to stage a recovery rally when silver and gold and Bitcoin, Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin. This alone, yeah, that's a 20% move in 2 days. It's unreal. Big moves in cryptocurrencies, big moves. So they look awesome. Joe said, any idea what's up with bonds? No, I don't. I have no idea. We were talking about that with the guys that I trade with at the Gellos office, and I don't know why the bond market turned like it did, but yields are going up. We have no idea. Amira asked for platinum. Let's take a real quick look at platinum. Let me see. I pull up a CFD. Okay, here's platinum. I have not looked at it since I think you asked last. Gosh, I remember we were trading right here, and I'm like, hey, if we break down, it could really break down, and then we got a false breakdown, and then here we are at the highs. Are we gonna, I honestly I don't know, but here's the way I would look at it, Amira, is with gold and silver moving higher, the way they're moving higher, I think it's really difficult to try to stand in the way of platinum. Every commodity is going higher. Crude, copper, iron ore, gold, silver. Then, you can probably name many other commodities that continue to move higher. So I'm assuming at this point, while you trade above 100 or 1,000, excuse me, there's no reason to be bearish. It would make me a little nervous if I was long and we stopped shy of the previous high. That would make me a little nervous, but I don't see any real edge at this point to do anything. All right, guys and gals. Well, hey, I want to say we are getting really close to the holidays, and tomorrow's, there's rebalancing going on right now with the S&P. So there's supposed to be some, S&P selling, but the selling has been very muted thus far. I would personally, just be looking to buy a dip in the S&P if you can find it. Like if you do get some selling between today and tomorrow, maybe a dip back towards 3680. You look for longs going into next week, because next week, remember, liquidity gets poor. Who wants to sell? No one, right? No one wants to be on the short side of the market going into year end. You look for, a rally and probably continued dollar weakness realistically in all actuality. So, any dollar rally should be met with selling, I'm sure, over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours if you see any dollar buying come in. All right, guys and gals. Eamon said, isn't it safer to play the pound Canadian instead of Aussie since the Canadian looks weaker? Thank you. You could. The pound Canadian, you could do the same thing. I was more looking at, and that's a good question. And I have looked at the pound Canadian, by the way. Let me go over to it. The thing I liked most about the pound Aussie was the false breakdown. The pound Canadian, and this is what I was looking at, we had triangle support, but you can see this triangle resistance is coming right into play here. So I thought that the pound Aussie had a little bit more upside near term, and that's why I didn't play it. But yeah, I don't think that that's a bad choice either, Eamon. I really don't. So, and I think I'd be really comfortable with the pound Canadian on the long side on a break above this resistance, 175. And maybe that's the play, is you just, wait for a breakout. And then once you get the breakout, you play along. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you. And trade safely going into the end of the week and end of the year. We will be recognizing the Christmas holiday next week. So we will probably broadcast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that'll be it, because Thursday is and probably Wednesday at this webinar, so 6 days from right at this moment, will probably be the last daily roundup. And, we'll be packing it in after that. So have a great one. And thank you so much for all of your support. Appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you tomorrow morning on the Face webinar.